Do you discuss and analyze your interactions with your crush? Do you avoid the topic? I wish I could be a fly on the wall and listen to how you talk about your crushes with your friends because I want to know if it's similar to how girls do. Story 1. Most guys won't tell their friends about a girl until it's serious. Typically, it goes something like this. I hooked up on Friday. Nice. Are you going to see her again? I think so, yeah. Cool. Story 2. H. This girl at my work is so attractive. M. If you weren't so unappealing, maybe you would have a chance. H. Forget you. M. I'm just joking. You're not that unappealing. It's just that you're too afraid, so it doesn't matter anyway. H. Darn it. True. Let's go get tacos. M. Absolutely. F. Story 3. We don't discuss that sort of thing, just something like, I'm seeing someone. Oh, nice. I hope it goes well for you. Thanks, brother. That's about it. Story 4. I have one friend who is actually a real friend. With this guy, our conversations about women are deep. With the other 99%, I don't discuss anything deeply about women. Story 5. You would be a very bored fly on the wall if you're looking for girlfriend talk, because it doesn't exist. The conversation will go from, how are you all doing? With a response like, we're good, to an in-depth review of the fall of the Roman Empire. Story 6. She has the most beautiful smile I have ever seen, and when I talked to her, we actually got along great. I think I might have a chance next semester, as she is out of the country over the summer. So text her. No, I am scared. I have valid reasons, and I do not want to come across as creepy. Okay. Then do not text her and be alone. She continues to tease me about it at least once a week. Story 7. I have been with a fantastic new woman for about a month now. She has informed her friends, coworkers, family, hobby friends, and neighbors all about me. I told my dad, and he said, that's great. Such are most men's lives. Story 8. My brother got a new girlfriend the other day. I told him that it was cool and I was happy for him. My fiancé is the only one who cares enough to know more details, and I really don't want to talk to him about it, and vice versa. Story 9. Barely, if at all. You wouldn't hear whatever you are imagining in most friend groups. We are there to hang out with our friends, and that time is about those friends, not about other people who aren't there. Story 10. At least my male friends and I discuss crushes and dating seriously. It's all about avoiding getting hurt and not ending up with someone unpredictable. We have heartfelt conversations and allow each other to be vulnerable. Story 11. Another thread makes me think my friends and I are much more open with each other than is typical. For us, to an extent, we'll mention someone we like and why and what to do. However, we don't dissect every detail of the interaction to determine if she likes him. That would lead to them, correctly in my opinion, being told they are overthinking it and just to act on intuition. Generally, we hype each other up to take chances. I have been on both sides of this, telling friends and being told. Story 12. We often don't discuss women in the way movies portray them or how they think we do. Most of the time, we might just point out an attractive woman we see passing by. Story 13. I wasn't going to leave a comment, but it seems I'm an outlier. There's a guy here who talks about girls he's interested in and analyzes interactions with his friends. I'll share my interactions. Yeah, we hung out today, and she seemed to be standing closer than usual. Our hands touched without her pulling away. Do you think I'm in, guys? It's hard to explain without being in a conversation about it. But it's clear when I've found a woman I like. Story 14. This is one of the good things about having platonic female friends. I share my feelings about the girls I like, and it leads to meaningful conversations. Story 15. So you know her? Her? From that place. Yeah, she's kind of cute. You should talk to her, man. Story 16. I had a friend who was curious to hear more when I told him about a crush. He would cheer me on when I talked to her. However, most other guys do not really share that kind of information. Story 17. I tell my sons regularly that when I develop feelings for a girl in public, I usually point her out at the bar or mention it in a text after we hang out. Perhaps I am just more open about my feelings than most people. Story 18. It depends on the person I'm talking to. Some just want to share information and move on, while others are quite talkative. I tend to talk a lot as well. Story 19. It's usually something like, I have a date on a specific day. Great. My friend is about to have some fun. I hope so. I've been single for a long time, and she's very attractive. We laugh, boost our friend's confidence, and move on to another topic. Story 20. We keep our feelings to ourselves until our friends pry them out of us, and then they make fun of us for it. We also pry feelings out of our friends so that we can tease them. However, I have never heard a guy express admiration for someone unless they were already in a serious relationship. If guys were to express admiration for girls they are not already with, it would feel quite awkward. It is important to remember that most guys will do anything to avoid being perceived as creepy. Story 21. We either 1. Don't 2. Talk about them briefly. I'm seeing this new girl. We met doing Oh, that's cool. 3. Ask about a specific interaction and see their thoughts. This is less common, but I've had a few conversations like that, especially if I'm close with the friend. Say, she's so attractive, leading into, talk to her, dude, or a lighthearted jab. From my experience, I usually don't hear much until a relationship is developing, and then I sometimes get more details. It's definitely easier discussing this with women. Story 22. I recently hung out with some of my best friends, and they told me he said, she plays video games. They responded, well, I wish ours did. It made me feel good that he spoke about me positively to his friends. Story 23. Men usually do not discuss their crushes with other guys. One reason is that we do not want to reveal our interest in a particular girl, as our friends might try to intervene or pursue her before we have a chance. Story 24. I shared with a few others about a crush I had in 8th grade, and one of them informed her. Since then, I have been cautious about the topic, and I remain just as reserved over a decade later. Story 25. We don't. One day we have a partner and we tell our friends, and they say, nice one, dude. Then we drink beer and talk about sports. Story 26. I simply tell my friends, have you seen this girl? I want her. This usually establishes my interest. Story 27. It depends on the context. However, it is always positive, and that is all you really need to know. Story 28. They will not know anything until we have established a relationship, and then I will introduce them. Story 29. All the guys saying no, like never? I mean, I get that it's not usual, but don't you ever meet someone you think is amazing and want to tell your friend, even just one close friend? Like, dude, she's attractive and she's into the same weird, obscure hobby I am, and she laughed at that joke. I always tell that a lot of girls don't like. You never get really excited about someone and want to share? Story 30. In my opinion, they do not like to gossip, as they see it as childish. They might mention that they are seeing a girl, but it does not go beyond that. Guys tend to be more private about such matters. Please do not believe everything you see on television. It is often make-believe. Story 31. No depth. It might go along the lines of, I went on a date last night. Oh yeah. How did it go? Pretty good. Going to see her again next week. Did you sleep with her? No, not yet. Cool. Story 32. My ex was my biggest crush for years, even before I ever direct messaged her or she knew I existed. We had briefly met in person before, but she was always in a relationship. I used to show guys her picture on Instagram and say, look how beautiful she is. They would ask if we were talking or dating, and I would say, no, I just think she's beautiful. That was before we ever actually spoke. Story 33. Dude 1. There's this girl I kind of like. Dude 2. Really? Do you have charm? Dude 1. No, I'm not sure if she's the one. Dude 2. Just go for it. A girl is a girl. Dude 1. Do you want to play Jackbox? Dude 2. Yeah. Story 34. I tell my friends about my gym crushes that never materialize into anything. Then they laugh and call me an ugly fool, and the playful insults continue from both sides. We all get a good laugh about it. Story 35. I asked every friend I could think of for advice on how to approach the only person in my life who has ever made me nervous. I don't know if any of them gave good advice, but I pretty much knew what to do. I just needed to vent and could not keep it in. Story 36. Usually, I don't, but a couple of weeks ago I was with someone so attractive that I think I told one of my friends. It just depends on whether they are worth mentioning. The same applies if I'm getting serious with someone. I'll inform a few friends. Story 37. Nothing like girls. Anecdotally, I think men might replay the interactions in their heads but largely keep it to themselves. The part that gets shared with friends is strategy. I think I'm going to take her to a place on Saturday, which is met with, "Sounds good." Story 38. I didn't tell my male friends, but my best female friend knows and informed my male friends for me. Now they tease me whenever her name comes up because I haven't made a move yet. Story 39. Surprisingly, men don't often discuss the intricacies of intimate relationships as frequently as women do. Story 40. Depends. Just a girlfriend? Very reserved. Keeps her to himself, shows 1 or 2 pictures and nothing else. Maybe some mentions and is invited to most group meetings where we have a ratio of 40% males to 60% females. But when they've fallen in love, well, my brother becomes really charming. He keeps gushing positivity about his girlfriend. And then suddenly, they get serious and say, "Bro, I think I'm in love. This girl is special." My friends mostly share positive things about their partners, which makes us all love them dearly. Story 41. It isn't interesting to us to know another person's game. It is their business. Crushes are topics for teenagers, not grown men. Story 42. I think I'm going to try to play. Did you see how poorly England performed yesterday? Southgate needs to be replaced. Story 43. I don't use the term crush because it doesn't feel right. Instead, I will say, there is a girl I'm pursuing. She is attractive. Story 44. 9 out of 10 of my friends are women around my age or older. However, I have found that the type of woman I want to date is very different from my friends. As a result, I have faced criticism a few times, so I now avoid bringing it up. Story 45. Some friends are like the others have described. I never share anything with them. Why would I? With some, I can share a little more, but I don't get too deep or specific. For example, when talking about someone, it often goes like this. What about her? There's just something about her. Oh, you're cooked. Yeah, I guess. How about you? How do you talk about crushes with friends? Story 46. We are different. Some do not mention it at all, while others say only a little. Some talk excessively about it. Story 47. I met a really cute girl the other night. She does activities that we discussed, and I hope to see her next weekend. I'm pretty excited. Story 48. We might say we're talking to someone, but usually, we do not bring up anything until it has already happened or is certain to happen. It is embarrassing and depressing if it does not work out. Story 49. My friends and I might mention if we were planning to go on a date with a girl. Then there would be a simple check-in on how it went, with the expected reply being either good or bad. Bad might get more explanation, but a good, "We had fun. I'm hoping to see her again," would be the most we would say about a good date. Story 50. I knew 2 girls in high school who were in my younger brother's class. They were best friends, and one of them told the other that she had a crush on my brother. The other girl apparently had a crush on him too, but didn't mention it to her friend. I think my brother liked the girl who stayed quiet and viewed the other one only as a friend. The girl who stayed quiet could never actually date my brother because it would betray her friendship, even though the other girl didn't have any claim over him. As a result, my brother never had a chance with the girl he liked despite her feelings for him, all because the other girl talked about her crush. That's why I don't share my crushes with anyone. Story 51. I've never known a single man to say out loud that he has a crush. The first we usually hear about it is when dating becomes exclusive, and it is usually as an introduction. This is my girlfriend. Name. Once I knew a friend had a girlfriend. After 7 years, I found out that not only had they gotten married, but they had also been divorced and he was dating someone else long-term. Oh, hey man. How's former girlfriend? I thought he was still dating. We've been divorced for a few years. Speaking of which, I'm getting married in 4 months. Oh, story 52. The latest conversation was with my friend. Me. The new girl at work is really cute. Him. Are you going to ask her out? Me, no, I don't think it's a good idea to date someone from work. Him. Are you sure? You don't want to miss your chance. Me, I don't know. And that's how that happened. Story 53. To be honest, we don't talk about our girlfriends with our friends. It's strange. Why would I ask my friend what his wife or girlfriend is doing or how she behaves in bed? As far as I know, men don't do that. The only time a girlfriend comes up in conversation is when she causes a problem, like creating a scene, preventing him from going out, or if she's being difficult and he is having trouble handling her. Generally, it's only when there are serious issues, such as an unexpected pregnancy. Otherwise, we just skim past it. We don't mind discussing women in general or making crude jokes, but our relationships are usually off limits. Story 54. Very rarely do men discuss their crushes. Since men tend to initiate relationships, talking about a crush often feels like admitting to being too afraid to approach the person. Male friends may hold each other accountable for this. In my experience, men typically wait until they have secured a date before mentioning a woman they are interested in, unless she is a mutual friend and they want to ensure that other men are not pursuing her. For some, even after a couple of dates, they only mention their interest once they are officially in a relationship. I believe that the reluctance to talk about crushes stems from the expectation that men should make the first move. When you are the one expected to take action, there is no question of whether you will do it. You must take that step. Story 55. I just told my friend that his sister is attractive. We have been friends for 25 years. He encouraged me to pursue it, saying he thinks we would be good together. Story 56. In depth, not really. More like, my crush smiled at me in class. Oh, that's cool. If you're wondering about the objectification, maybe a little. Wow. She has a nice figure. That kind of stuff. That's about it. Story 57. Nope, that kind of stuff just isn't interesting. Men and women think very differently. We are discussing which camshaft I should use in the LS engine build I have in progress. Story 58. Many of you may have unconventional friends or may not have close friends at all. I share everything with my friends, particularly our romantic experiences, as it's an important part of life. We analyze everything, but perhaps not in the same way women do. I have one close friend, and about 65% of our conversations revolve around discussing our romantic successes and failures. We are both active men in our early 30s, and it helps to compare notes. Story 59. I think it only comes up if we are going to meet the person. Hey, the girl I like is coming over with me tomorrow. There is also a superstition that the moment you start talking to others about a hopeful relationship, it won't work out for one reason or another. Story 60. I never talked about crushes with any of my friends, primarily because we had better things to do with our time to have fun. The only exception was when any of us were interested in a girl and felt unsure. We would conduct a friend test by inviting the girl to hang out with the group to get an outsider's perspective on whether she was worth dating. This was the most we would ever discuss crushes, and it was exclusively to protect ourselves against women who exhibited toxic behaviors that we might overlook when we were infatuated. We avoided many undesirable relationships this way, and it really helped us learn from one another about what to avoid and what signs to look for in the future to steer clear of similar women. Story 61. Sometimes it depends on the depth of the friendship and if they are someone who can provide insight into the situation. Story 62. I am trying to keep it closer to my chest because I am not having the best luck, and it is better for me to hold off until something actually happens. Story 63. I talked about my crushes with friends 3 times. Once in high school and twice in college. In high school, I shared because one friend encouraged me to come out of my shell socially and thought that asking people on dates would help. Spoiler, I have never asked anyone out. The college conversations were both in the context of the crush and me being in the same club or friend group, so I sought advice from others in the group in those situations. Spoiler, I did not ask either of them out. Story 64. I once tried to have a serious conversation with a friend about the new girl he was dating. I asked about her character and what he liked about her. So, what's she like? What do you like about her? There was a pause. Well, she has a small chest, but she's good at giving oral pleasure. Nothing more was offered. Story 65. Unless she has done something to upset them or is the reason they couldn't do something, I don't think they talk about their crushes at all. For example, I have met the same high school friends at a bar for years. I come home, and my wife asks me how Dana is. I replied, "Who? Ryan's wife? Dana? I didn't know Ryan was married. Their kids go to school with ours. I go out with Dana on girls' nights. Didn't mention her. I guess she is fine." Story 66. Once in a while, when we truly run out of topics, someone asks the question maybe once or twice a year at most. Story 67. In my 20 years of living, we almost never communicate. The most I've ever said is hanging out with a girl or something similar unless the feelings fade or we don't work out. My friends rarely mention anything until we are in the middle of a game, and I hear, "Oh, by the way, I have a girlfriend now. She's pretty cool." Story 68. I am talking to this girl, and she is very attractive. I really want to be with her. Listen to this. Story 69. Why would I tell them about her? Maybe I could say I was seeing someone new or that I had a good date recently. Story 70. People often avoid discussing this topic because they do not want to invite competition, especially when they are likely already slow to take action. Story 71. I have never discussed any crush I had with anyone. I avoid the subject completely. I do not want other guys to know or comment on my crush. One of my crushes was very popular in our social group, and I had several rivals among my acquaintances. No other guys have ever talked openly about their crushes with me either. Story 72. My friends all knew my wife before she was my girlfriend. I remember going out with the guys and asking, "Do you think she's attractive?" I was thinking of asking her out. They replied, "Yes, she's attractive. We have been together for 13 years, married for 6, and we have 2 children." Story 73. If it is a serious relationship, we will not talk much about it. If it is a casual encounter, then we are likely to brag. Story 74. Tell my friends about a crush? They won't even know I'm interested in someone or that I was going on dates until I bring her to a group event for the first time. Story 75. I don't talk about crushes with my friends. Instead, I usually complain about how strange some girls I meet on dating apps are and how to navigate that minefield. Story 76. I think there is a Friends episode that sums this up nicely. Ross. And then I kissed her. Joey. Tongue. Ross. Yeah. Joey and Chandler. Cool. Story 77. We never talk about women, but when a beautiful one walks by, we have to regain our composure. Usually, a light-hearted joke about her is shared with a friend. My wife would probably not be pleased to see me looking at her like that. Story 78. Crushes can be awkward. When you confide in a friend and then hesitate or face rejection, it can lead to embarrassment. If you do end up getting a girlfriend, the conversation might go like this. "I got a girlfriend. Since when?" "Last Tuesday." "Cool. By the way, I was thinking about converting my car to a Sterling engine." Story 79. There is a small scene in Friends, the TV show, that depicts how guys handle this situation. However, I am not sure about the accuracy of the girl's part. Story 80. Most of my friends would not bring it up until they had to miss a friend's outing, or actually get engaged, have a child, or get married. Then we would have a party so we could roast him. Story 81. I have only ever gone beyond, "I'm talking to a girl." When discussing a girl I had feelings for once. It was with a very close friend, talking about how I plan to reconnect with old friends to hopefully see an old crush again. Regardless of how that goes or if she is dating, married, or whatever else, at least I will have some closure. During that whole conversation, I didn't mention how she looked or what I liked about her. Not because I was trying to hide it, but because those details didn't matter to me in context. Story 82. I say, guys, definitely do it. It just sounds different. Instead of saying, Oh my God, I met such an amazing guy last weekend. It's more like, do you guys remember that attractive blonde from the bar on Saturday? I got her number, and she's pretty cool. We might go out sometime. Story 83. I don't talk about my crushes at all, whether with friends or family. Often, they turn out to be a letdown, and it doesn't work out before I can introduce them. It's usually at the 3-month mark that I mention, oh, by the way, I've been seeing someone. I don't count my chickens before they hatch. Story 84. It has become more common in my friend group over the past year to discuss them after the first couple of dates. Story 85. One time, a perfectly nice girl I knew stopped talking to me because she thought I was lying about something. The guy she was seeing was a classmate of mine, and we all hung out. She wanted to know what he said about her when she wasn't there and didn't believe that his response of, "She seems nice," and, "Yeah," was sufficient. Story 86. I have told my female friends before, but never male friends. Girls tend to gossip, so it can be risky to share certain information with them. Story 87. If it's someone they like, they're probably not going to say anything unless it turns into something serious. Otherwise, they may talk about someone's appearance that they find attractive. Story 88. Generally, not much at all for me. Although I'm happily with someone now, it's still pretty much the same. It would usually go more like, met a lady, followed by good one, and she's great. Then on to topics like games, the latest episode of a show we're all watching, cars, and typical conversation. I was much more likely to discuss that with one of my female friends. They're more interested and often give good advice on how to approach things. Story 89. It varies between individuals and friend groups. One friend of mine talks about relationships until he found what I believe is the one, and now she is part of the group. However, my other friend and I rarely talk about crushes. The last time I mentioned my own crushes was a few years ago when I was no longer in contact. Story 90. For the most part, women would feel out of place in a group of men. We don't discuss romance in that way. There are more important topics to talk about, such as which dry rub blend is best for a particular cut of meat. My sister is the one who gets all the details about my love life. Story 91. There is no point in being a fly on the wall for these conversations. You could achieve the same results by walking past them for 10 seconds. Men do not often go into detail about their partners. Story 92. Are you seeing anyone? Yeah, I'm seeing this new girl. Nice, man. Did you see the hockey game last night? Story 93. I have never discussed that subject with anyone. It might as well not exist outside of the anonymous internet world. Story 94. At 30, we don't talk about crushes. We simply mention a girl we met with an extraordinary appearance. If it's serious, we only discuss it when asked if we are in a relationship. Story 95. My friend mentioned that she has a noticeable figure. Additionally, my friend expressed uncertainty about wanting the interaction to feel casual while also not wanting her to perceive it as such. Story 96. My close friends and I discussed the small details. As far as I know, she doesn't exist among my guy friends. Story 97. I discuss with some of my friends, as they have much more experience with women than I do. They are always willing to offer advice and suggestions when I'm interested in a girl but unsure how to proceed based on our interactions. Story 98. I don't. In my last relationship, I didn't even tell my best friend until I had been dating her for about 6 months. I talk to him when I want to discuss the Texas Rangers or Spider-Man comic books, or reminisce about old science fiction shows. When I want to talk about my relationships, I talk to the person I am in that relationship with. Story 99. It's bold of you to assume I have friends. But really, I mostly talk about crushes with women, not men. Most men don't care unless it involves a transition from crush to a serious relationship, moving in, or marriage, as those situations tend to significantly influence the friend dynamic over time. Guys who want steamy details don't remain my friends, especially if they expect to see inappropriate pictures. The saying, "A gentleman doesn't kiss and tell," is somewhat relevant. I'm no gentleman, but I don't discuss intimate details of my personal relationships. Even when things don't work out, I stick to the basics when talking about it. If I truly trust someone and they want more information that could lead to healthy advice or a valued opinion, I'll share more. However, those friends are very few and far between. I'd rather speak to a professional if I'm having issues related to emotional health or sexual concerns. Story 100. Your first assumption that men talk to each other about their crushes is flawed. Men often tease each other if they reveal a crush that others think is out of their league. For some men, that includes most girls. Story 101. Guys don't talk or analyze those things at all. If you were a fly on the wall, you would learn a lot about their hobbies. Story 102. No. If I like someone or am striving for something good in life, I never mention it. I find that if I do, it won't work out. Additionally, if it's a crush, it never works for me because I never make a move. Story 103. We do not enjoy analyzing every aspect of our relationships like women do. We have other interests. Story 104. Fellas, I really like this guy. Sweet, go talk to him. We have your back. I will. Then I fail and we go grab some burritos. Story 105. My friends and I have some issues with girls. Mainly, we don't talk to many and are afraid to try. Most of our discussions revolve around questions like, what should I do? Should I talk to her? No, she would turn me down. That's true. So, should we play League of Legends or Crusader Kings? Story 106. I believe you would face consequences for saying something like that. Story 107. Most of the people I know are pretty vague and nondescript about their feelings. I like her. I think she's cute. Even when we act on it, it still remains vague. I went on a date. We were intimate. We were together. Additionally, I am at an age where we don't really say crush. You tend to stop using that term when you are out of your teens, and I am well into my 30s. When my friend decided to propose to his wife of 10 years, he simply said, I think I'm going to propose. And that was it. Story 108. I never really get crushes, but if I notice a tall girl, I will say to my best friend, oh my, that girl is so tall. That's what I tend to like, although I wish it wasn't seen as unattractive. Story 109. In my experience, when we have a crush, we share a few pictures, ask some questions, congratulate our friend, and don't interfere unless she is a problematic person. In that case, we are allowed to support our friend. No one is left behind. Story 110. I don't think I have ever talked to my friends about a crush of mine, nor have they talked to me about it that I can remember. Story 111. I suffered extensive bullying in my youth for revealing my crush, and ever since, I have not felt safe sharing such information with anyone. No one knows about her until we have established a relationship. Story 112. As someone with a decent number of male friends, I've noticed that some are very emotional and sentimental, while the majority are more focused on how to impress a girl rather than imagining different scenarios. Often, a guy might stress over whether a girl likes him. In my last school, I helped a friend with a new girl by giving him her contact information because I had become friends with her. It was more about him thinking she was cute and wanting to pursue her. Story 113. We are not chicks. Despite the desperate state of conversation in this community, women are not an interesting topic. Nobody cares about your crush. Story 114. Remember that girl I told you about a few months ago? Yeah. I stayed at her place yesterday. She's really nice. And that's it. You would be surprised by how different most men are from women regarding this. Story 115. I didn't even tell my friend when he was on the phone asking her out. After that, it was basically, this is my girlfriend, X. These are the guys. Nice to meet you, because we are adults and that awkwardness is for grade schoolers. Story 116. Only those lacking confidence have infatuations. If you like a girl, you ask her out. She will either say yes or no. Infatuations do not exist. Only weak men do. Story 117. Emotionally mature men and women leave attractions behind in their teens. Secretly liking or being attracted to someone is normal, but an obsession often leads to poor choices. If you are still experiencing crushes in your 20s, consider seeking therapy. Story 118. I don't associate with people who talk about their crushes, so I couldn't tell you. If you happen to come across such individuals, I'm sure they will have beards and wear skinny jeans. Story 119. I'm going to take your girlfriend. B. That's fine. She's not my type. C. Yes. She has a nice figure, but her personality is difficult. Stay away. D. Who is that unattractive person? We don't. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.